Honestly, that is nonsense. Nonsense. All nonsense. But listen, I've been on that road before. They're imposters.
Nothing to ask me, for my opinion, a little bit unfair.
But in between that, there was drinks.
Why are you talking rubbish?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a No Nonsense podcast, international edition. I mean, what do we do, Will? What can we say about this? It's gone from possibly the best qualifying round/group to now feeling like actually the worst. I mean, I don't see many other people saying this, but the fact of the matter is it's 7-0 on aggregate between us and England.
Yeah, but I mean, in the past, we would lose all the games that we should get results in, as well as get hammered by England or France or whoever. So it's unfortunate the way the games landed, where it ended with the 5-0, and then it's like, right, and that's that, everyone.
Yeah, I guess when we had a group with France and Netherlands, a real pessimist would have said that's looking like a 5-0 and 3-0 for them. But in these group scenarios, it kind of never happens. You know, you never really get what you deserve in terms of a beating. You know, you lose like 2-0 and then they stop. They go, all right, well, that's the end of that, you know. But I think we kind of poked the bear this time in that first half. And I went, we're going to learn them today, you know.
I think it was a combo of that where, you know, it's England-Ireland. It's not really a rivalry for them, I'd say. I'd say they don't think about us at all, whereas we're kind of obsessed with them and hate them, obviously. But we have said a lot of nasty things about them, especially during this qualifying campaign. We were doing a lot of booing when they were in Dublin. I think they enjoyed sticking it to us, while also we crumbled under the weight of a goal happening, and then that was it.
Yeah. There was that. I mean, the booing of the national anthems is like a thing from the Euros now. Like, we are slowly kind of going backwards as a society, where like nations are really starting to like dislike one another again for like no reason. Like, there was countries who didn't have half the history that us in England had at the Euros. Who was like, yeah, boo it for the crack, fuck them, you know, just kind of this bit of partisan kind of fun. You know, which would be grand if it wasn't for all the wars happening right now. That would, you know, it would be a little less kind of worrying. But I think what I was alluding to, anyways, was the first half itself, where we were like, you know, really getting stuck in. I mean, the tackle, Scales tackle on Kane, that was, I mean, obviously that was for us, that was the highlight. But like, you know, we don't usually have that. And I think for England going in at halftime, like, all right, well, this is bullshit. These guys think they're our peers, you know, even though we're way better than them. We're not even trying.
It was funny seeing the game plan. It felt at halftime that's like, all right, something might happen here. You know, it might be a 0-0 maybe, or at least it might only be a 1-0. Like, we're putting in a good performance.
Yes.
But yeah, Jesus, it all just came crumbling down. But we can't, before we get into the second half, we do have to mention, even though we lost 5-0, we were robbed twice.
Oh, I mean, this is the situation now that the refereeing, the PGMOL, whatever the fuck, refereeing as a whole across the game, they've fucked themselves. They've absolutely fucked the refereeing thing. I know I said this on the last episode, but I think not a lot of people heard it. But the whole thing of VAR was, you're watching the game at home on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Champions League, and you know, tensions are high. It's a big European fixture. And there's a tackle, and you go, oh, what the fuck? That's a foul. And then they show the replay, and you go, oh, well, maybe not. And then the commentator says, oh, well, look, the referee doesn't have the benefit of those replays. And that was the idea of VAR. It's like, well, why can't he? Why don't we offer him that perspective? But instead, they overthought it, and they thought, okay, well, like, we have to have like a whole team of people, and we have to have a center of excellence for refereeing in Stockley Park, like a situation room like the White House. You know, we got to put as much money into this as there is in the Premier League and into football. It has to match that, rather than just having one qualified guy, they might call him a referee, to have the the view of the viewer we all had at home, and then to get in with just the ref, not the linesmen, the fourth officials, just the ref, and say, "Hi, mate, John here," or whatever. I think actually that was a foul because I saw the replay. No, you can't. I can. So I'm going to say that's a foul or it's not a foul. And then he goes, "All right, cheers, mate. You know, John, thanks for that." And then you call it. It should be as simple as that, right? It should be as simple as that, or vice versa, where the ref goes, "I'm not sure. I'd like to have a look at that." And he calls the one guy in the box, and he says, "You know, was that a foul?" No, he goes, "Let me just check the opposite angle that you didn't see." Yeah, it is. Instead, we have the situation where you have 6 people on the same line shouting and roaring over each other. The ref is scared stiff to make a decision because, well, I don't want to make the wrong decision because then VAR doesn't have the jurisdiction. Doesn't have the jurisdiction to fucking the jurisdiction that we made up, by the way. He doesn't have the jurisdiction to call that if I call it first in these rules that we made ourselves or fucked ourselves. And now you get to a point where you have Evan Ferguson who's like pulled down, and the ref's like, "Oh well, I don't know. I guess if something was really bad, the VAR would call it." The VAR is not thinking, "We can't make a wrong decision and we can't be too slow about it." And "Oh no, the game's already happened. We can't be given out to for being too slow, for ruining the game." You know, it's just both of them are afraid to make a decision. Both of them are obsessed with the wrong things about, like, you know, entertainment and making the game fast. Like, you're the referee, you're the worst part of the game. Like, do your job and be a bad thing about the game. They're going to try and get away with stuff. They're going to try and pull people down when you're not looking. Your job is to find it. Don't worry about the entertainment factor. Don't worry about the speed of it. If you see something, say something. It should be simple as that, you know? But it's not. And now we're in a situation now where Evan Ferguson is pulled down by Gay in the box, and we can see it on the replay. The refs can see it on the replay, but the game's already started. They don't want to ruin the game and call it back. You know, it's just, it's a ridiculous situation. It's a huge problem now. We're like, you go into these games and you go, well, you mightn't get something. There might be a huge call that you just won't get, and no one's going to call it unless he sees it and he's confident 100% about it. It's just, it's an absolute joke. And I'm sorry for ranting about it, but like, it's just not going to matter because we lost 5-0. And, you know, they were better than us anyways. And even if we'd won, we wouldn't change the position. But like, the standard refereeing has got to, it must be its lowest points. When it's because we know it's not corrupt. We know it's people like David Coote who are just like idiots with terrible judgment, and they're all scared stiff. And this is where we're at now. And it's an absolute joke. Again, like we were saying about, you know, people from other countries would look at the Premier League and go, "Well, that's a ridiculous league." You know, other sports will look at this and go, "Sure, the referees are like, they're not even real. They're just like these bumbling idiots who get things wrong and, you know, are easily blackmailed." It's the whole, they're bringing the sport into dispute, these referees. That's where we're at with it.
100%. Because, like, that was a mental one. That seemed stonewall as anything, especially the first replay. So then you do wonder, it's like, well, what were they looking at all, if they saw anything? But then earlier as well, there was another penalty where it was less intentional, but Kyle Walker fell on, I can't remember whose ankle, but he fell on someone's ankle and tripped them in the box.
Smotics,
yeah. And there was nothing made of that. And it's funny because before this, because it's a few days since the game is on, so I just look on the highlights. It's like, what have I forgotten? Let me see how those goals happened again. And both of those just get breezed over. It's just like, oh, looks like a penalty, on to the next highlight. You know what I mean? Like, what happened? What happened in the in-between there? Why was there not a huge discussion and a big stop in the game to say, okay, something's clearly happened here and there needs to be a penalty? And then it's just such a killer blow. And I do think that is what done us in the game, is that their first goal is a penalty. And it is. And it's a penalty and it's a red card. So it's like, oh, that seems so unfair. They got away with 2. We do it and we're double punished and they score. So it's triple punished. And you could just, it was over then. Heimir said after the game, we'll play the clip here, I'd say.
Yeah.
They gave up, basically. The Irish players just gave up. And it did feel like that. I'll play the clip here.
I'm kind of lost for words. 6 minutes of kind of madness. Yeah, it was a shock. Conceding a penalty, conceding a goal, losing a player. We probably lost our heads at this moment, leading into a second goal and a third goal. And from there, you can see we maybe lost our head, gave up. We've talked, and I said before, we're struggling with confidence, and it clearly took away all confidence from what we did really well in the first half. So yeah, you cannot explain things like this. It just happens, slap in the face, and it was difficult to come back from it.
But yeah, the heads.
Yeah.
It's tough to come back when it seems unfair, and then on top of that, you're Ireland and they're England. Like, it's hard enough already to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming going into the game, it was like, the classic Jason McAteer joke was like, all right, keep it tight, no messing around. Like that's all we could do. We lost 2-0 at home. We're going to Wembley. Yeah, sure, they're missing a lot of players and they don't care about this game. But like at the end of the day, like players that came out, like just on a side note, before you go any further, it's hilarious that they didn't win the Euros. Like, they were trying to get like the stars in, and then like Jared Bowen comes on and like just smashes in the goal with his first touch. And he's clearly has like both feet. He can play on the right or the left. Definitely a better option. There's Anthony Gordon also playing on that side, gets his first goal against us for England. And it's just like, you're idiots. You are fucking idiots that you managed to blow that, because Spain were good. They had some very good players, but they weren't that good. They weren't invincible. And he lost by 1 goal. It is quite funny when you see how good they were, that they cannot get over the line despite the talent they have. But anyways, the point is that like the Gahey one, he was actually given a free, because the referee said, oh, well, benefit of the doubt, the defender, as always. But yeah, it took one replay to look at. But by that point, Pickford had rolled the ball out and was taking the free kick out, and they just didn't want to call it back. The Smodics one, this is the thing. This is where it gets a bit harder, where it's like, oh, was it really? It's like, maybe it takes more than like one replay, one look. But like, I just think you should have something in place. It should be like to the referee's discretion, where it's like he sees a call and he's not sure about it. Then he goes, right, I'm just going to check with the VAR real quickly, and I guess then you'd have people surrounding the ref for every decision. Be like, you have to check that every single time. But then it becomes the boy who cried wolf. If you want to do that every time, the ref's going to not believe you. So that would maybe, it would incentivize kind of honesty. If you genuinely think it's a free, you might demonstrate with the referee, and then he'll have a look. If you do it every time, he'll never look, and then you might actually get done another one. So it might actually correct that as well. But like this kind of thing where like the VAR is left up to like make a decision or to stop play, to like, oh, let us kind of intrude here on the game. When you're not seen, if you just do nothing, no one's going to even remember you, except for, the small portion of away fans, but that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's just, you're not making it easy for VAR to do it. And I'm, okay, I can have a go at the VAR officials, but like, it wouldn't be easy for anybody to go, hang on, I think the home crowd deserves to have a penalty given against them. When no one asks you. It's easier to do nothing in that scenario and let that moment just pass you by and go, hopefully that doesn't affect the game. And look, we're talking about it on a podcast that no one listens to. They won 5-0. No one in the mainstream media or real voices, I guess, are saying this, so it's fine. They did get away with it, and this is what it incentivizes for VAR referees. Like, best option, lads, do nothing. That's what they say when they're training the new guy. What I'd like to do in this situation is just kind of like let it play out, and 50% of the time, you're good. So I would think I would do that first, and then if you're forced into the decision, make the referee go to the screen and have him look. That's the right idea most of the time, So it's awful. And yeah, the Smodics one, that one, I think if it was us, I'd be a bit annoyed if it was given against us, which I think is what this always comes back to. It's like, it's never black and white, but yeah, it's very frustrating. But I think all that aside, we were decent in the first half, and our plan worked, which was to keep it tight and not let them score, which I think we did effectively for the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, and then it was just, that was the problem. Once there was a crack in the plan, not just that they'd scored, now you're down to 10 men, so it's going to be even harder to do that. It was game over. We basically just England were clinical, but like we kept just lazily sticking out legs to block things, and goal would go in. Not getting back, goal would go in. Giving the ball directly to them, they'd score straight from it. It was just a few minutes of madness, like where it all came crumbling down. But I will say, Carl, maybe it wasn't just us giving up and England obviously being the better team. Maybe it's that England are playing with some joy now that they haven't had in a while. I sent you this after the game. Jack Grealish and Jude Bellingham, two stars of the England camp. I would have said Grealish is one of Southgate's guys back in the day.
No, not at all.
You don't think
he didn't make the squad in the Euros?
Oh, I forgot about that. I was thinking before, yeah.
There was huge clamour to get him in for the 2021 Euros. And he got him in and he tried to play him again with Foden and he couldn't figure it out. And he went, fuck it, let's just play Sterling there instead. And Sterling he was diving in the semi-final against Denmark and Jack was on the bench. Remember, Jack Grealish was the new Gaza and let Jack be Jack, all that thing. And then he just went, all right, that's too much hassle. And he dropped it completely.
I had totally forgotten about being dropped from the Euros. This, honestly, now, when I first saw this post I was about to talk about, I thought, that's very unprofessional. But now I can see where it's coming from.
Betrayal.
Betrayal. Yeah, Bellingham and Grealish. After that game, it was Carsley's last game, of course, after being unceremoniously booted out by the media a few weeks ago, really. Jude Bellingham put up on his story, "Huge thanks to Lee and his staff for their work in these last few camps. Got my smile back in an England shirt. Very grateful." Interesting choice of words. Then Grealish said, "What a guy and manager. Absolute legend. Thank you for bringing back the enjoyment in an England shirt." What must it have been like? Were they thinking what we were thinking every time they didn't win a tournament? Of like, oh my God, why aren't we just winning? Why aren't we just putting our best players where they're supposed to go and scoring goals?
Yeah, time is a cruel mistress, and people have short memories, because that was literally what Southgate had supposedly done. He had brought the joy back after the dreary Hodgson years. It was like, we were going out attacking, not much of a game plan. Yeah, we were solid back, but it was Lingard, it was Sterling, it was people who, weren't the most technically gifted footballers, but we were having fun, damn it. We were scoring goals and we were winning golden boots. And then by the end, it was like, this boring fucker hasn't got a clue about football, So, yeah, I mean, the Grealish one I understand. The Bellingham one is like, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess he was like the star of the show, and I guess he came under a bit of criticism. I thought Southgate kind of like backed him pretty much all the time. So it's kind of definitely more betrayal from Bellingham than Southgate. But yeah, both are a bit, I would say, unnecessary. No, he just said, thanks, Lee. You don't say, this is the best manager I've ever had. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I've already had a couple guys. So who are you talking about that you're saying is worse than him?
Happy to play football again.
Yeah. But yeah, it was, I think it was about 26 minutes. They scored all 5 goals. So it was, you can't really describe it as anything other than like a complete capitulation from us. I mean, the first goal, like I said, penalty, sending off. All right, now it's fucked. Our plan was probably to get a draw maybe or keep it tight and then attack at the end. And if we lose then, we lose then. Now it's like, all right, it's 2-0 down now. We're completely done. See the game out. See the game out as 2-0. Yes, it's another 2-0 loss, but we don't want it to be, 5. And that's, we just kept giving the ball away, kept just giving it to Keller, and he was launching it back to them, and they just pass around us on another fucking set pieces. We were just conceding that set pieces. It was an absolute disaster by the end. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure you saw my boy Taylor Howard Bellis.
Yeah, Keno with a great line, one of his best.
Yeah, let's play the clip.
Bit of sweet for me, this.
Not everybody knows that is your future son-in-law.
Yeah, it's not done and dusted yet. Listen, things can change very quickly in the Keane household, let me tell you. But
He's never lost it, has he? He's never lost the one-liners.
No, it's funny. I saw I was on Spotify earlier, and the other way Spotify has audiobooks on it now.
Yeah.
One popped up, and it was Keane's second biography called The Second Half. And I was like, it's kind of gone, not under the radar, everyone knows it, but he's really made like a bigger career as a like pundit than he probably was as a footballer. And he was one of the biggest footballers in the world. But like he's really like 2 biographies. He's doing live shows where you just go and listen to him talk. He's doing ads for Sky. He is relentless, and more power to him because he's very funny. But it's just, who would have predicted that back in the day, the way he was?
Yeah, because it's usually, especially back when he was playing, like 90s, early 2000s, like it was all kind of soccer AM, kind of laddish, kind of. Jimmy Bullard is like, yeah, everyone could have seen that coming, But like Keane is the opposite. I don't like that kind of messing around shit, which he still doesn't. But he's made a career off that on TV, even though that's what he does like all the time, is like messing around, and he knows what he's doing. He says little jokes like that, like he's always taking the piss, really, but in his kind of character of, oh, I'm serious and I don't like messing. It's like, you're on the overlap every week. You're on fucking ads for Sky making jokes about how miserable you are. Like, you're not actually that miserable. So, yeah, I don't think people would have seen it happening. But, no, like I say, fair play to him. More power to him. Yeah, so I guess Halgrimsson is the latest person on Fraud Watch then, is he?
I don't know, because I was just about to ask you this, actually. Even though we lost 5-0 and we were robbed of 2 penalties and there was a red card and I feel lower than ever, I do feel more positive after that England game than the other one. Do you?
Well, the other England one was absolutely humiliating because it was Grealish and Rice running the show, being interviewed afterwards, kind of smiling and smirking at us. Really dominating the performance, just not letting us get the ball. There was nothing we could. It was like holding a little kid at arm's length and he's swinging his arms. It was really bad. This one was just like, all right, tactically, we didn't have an answer. I mean, the first half was good. The first half we had, it was Collins who was just like being in that Harry Kane space, not letting him drop deep and dictate the play, and it worked. And then we lost a player. And yeah, that's when it maybe fell apart. But then you might say, well, look, he's only been there a short while. You can only work on so many things. You can't, it takes a few years to get plans for every eventuality. Whereas this one was like, okay, well, assuming no one gets sent off. And like, I mean, I don't know what Liam Scales was doing there. He's probably maybe thinking this might be a good audition to make the Arsenal side one day, kicking the ball away, getting a yellow card. But like, it was just like, it's so like in the news now that's happening. Like, why was he doing that? Why? And like, okay, yeah, he's not the first person to do it. He won't be the last. But like, as a manager, if you're Halgrimsson, you're like, okay, I didn't think I had to say that, lads. I didn't think I had to say, don't be stupid. Don't kick the ball away. Don't like, we were trying to rattle him. Malumbi was like twisting Kane's arm around his back. Scales like lined him up and cleaned out Harry Kane. Like we were doing that kind of stuff, and then the man got sent off, and yeah, I think they were like, this is great now. Now we can really stick it to them. I think we mentioned in the last one as well, when you don't have the likes of Rice and Saka who were like, all right, well, this is game 20 of 90 this year, so let's just take it easy from now on. You had players like Gordon, like Bowen, who else was a first-time goal scorer for their country. Like this is their moment, these guys who were trying to put it up us in the first half have now got a man sent off and their heads are down. This is our time to, 1, get back them, and 2, progress my own career. That's a deadly combination, especially when they're already burying you. I started off the Halgrimsson as like Fraud Watch, maybe just try to get a debate going, but like I don't really think that, and I think, yeah, at least we had the first half under Stephen Kenny. I know it was bad luck, but I don't think there was ever actually there was the loss to Serbia, the 3-2, and I was like, wow, at least we were scoring goals and attacking. We might have won that game. So that was the last time. Everything after that was like, we're getting worse. I didn't want to admit it, but we were getting worse. Whereas this one was like, okay, well, he knows how to identify somebody's strengths and do something to stop it, which was Harry Kane dropping deep and saying, what if Collins went there instead? You know, and then, like I said, it all fell to shit and we kind of collapsed a bit, and it was a really, really bad way to end the group and the campaign. I think I definitely felt worse about the last one than this one.
Yeah, and like the campaign as a whole, again, like we won 2 games. We played well for a half against England. Like, I don't know. We've definitely improved over the last, since Heimer has come in. And as long as we can beat the teams that are, I was going to say worse than us, but there's probably not too many. As teams that we can beat, I think that's all. That'll do. That's all we need. We don't need to be beating England. It's not like we were ever going to. It would have been amazing, but it was never going to happen. But beating Finland, that is the goal right now. And we did that. So you can only do so much so quick.
Yeah, I mean, Finland were worse than us. They sucked. They were so bad in that first game. My God. But I think we weren't amazing either. We bet them by 1 goal and we won the goals. And they probably looked at that after the first game and went, lads, these were not good. We shouldn't have lost to them. Look how happy they are. Look how they're celebrating this win. You know, we can definitely get one over them in the next game. And then when they came to play us in Ireland, they were much more up for the game. And, you know, we were very lucky to survive. But like, yeah, that is a win. It's like a team who's probably around our level and on their best day, you know, could definitely beat us. But they didn't. We beat them twice. And whatever, it's about results, it's about performances. It depends who you speak to. But like, yeah, you can't take away those 2 wins. The 5-0 is our biggest ever competitive defeat to England. So that's not good. That's not a good record for Heimer. Still, we were never going to beat them. So, you know, lose by 1 goal, lose by 5, I guess. If you've learned something from it, Will, then maybe it's not a complete loss. Maybe I'm grasping at straws here. But yeah, I think by the time March comes around, I think I will be forgotten about all these lessons. And I think I'm like, oh God, hope we don't lose 5-0 again. You know, I'm like, oh God, Ireland again. Because the last one is the one you remember.
Oh, it's just tough. It feels like everyone's doing well except for us. And you mentioned that like that was our biggest ever loss to England. So it feels like we're going backwards. But really, have England ever been this good in our lifetimes? And I don't think we've ever been this bad. But even if we were better, I still think we'd be getting hammered by England at the moment. They have the all-star team, like we always say.
Yeah, like even the likes of Livermento, you know, who he may not, well, I guess the World Cup's a while away, but like full strengthening team, he's not getting in there. You know, Jared Bowen can't get in there for love of money. These guys would make our team very easily, you know. Maybe, you know, like before there's like 1 or 2 players that like, no, he wouldn't get in ahead of him. Even like when we had Coleman, you know, or Brady, like, no, they're kind of the linchpins of our team. Like you wouldn't change them for many people, you know, like we are like building, we're rebuilding, you know, we're trying a young team, trying to get back to where we were in terms of competitiveness. And then this England team is like, it's so deep, you know, there's so many good players. You know, they've really top class players for every position. So yeah, there's a big gap, but yeah, I think if you want to take a positive from it versus the last guy, you know, versus the last campaign, it felt like we didn't really know what we were doing. And I think just that example of Collins kind of marking Kane's space, like, well, that's the kind of thing that you'd hope a manager would be able to do, identify their strength and do something about it. And yeah, obviously it didn't work in the end. I mean, once scales went off and Collins couldn't do that anymore, then Kane like came alive and created the Bellingham's, well, the pre-assist, I guess is what it's called these days. But you know, like that's exactly why we had someone there, so he wouldn't drop deep and play really good passes. So yeah, I think it's 5-0, biggest defeat, but there actually was positives to take from it because of the first half, and it was the collapse in the second half was so quick that it really doesn't reflect the whole game, which is like, I know you can say after 5-0, but it's true, damn it.
And something else I think that's positive as well about Heimer that I like. His post-match press conferences there, like we said, he talks about they stopped trying, they lost their heads, moments of madness. It was not a case, which I think it might have been under Kenny, where oh, well, we didn't get the penalties. So if we're not getting the penalties, how can we win the game? Oh, and of course we're never going to win when that happens. I feel like Kenny was one for making excuses. Maybe not making excuses, more protecting the team. Whereas Heimer is not afraid to say it how it is, which is something this Ireland team has probably needed for a few years.
Yeah, I think when you lose a game like 2-1 or 3-1, which is still a bad loss, but if you go, the first thing out of your mouth is like, what about that decision in the first half? That changed the whole damn game, you know? And you draw attention away from the mistakes leading up to the 2 goals or whatever. But like, and that's what Kenny was doing. It was like straight out of that classic playbook. Because like he's been a manager for a long time. He knows all those kind of tricks. But what he was missing was like the entire 90 minutes of the game, it never looked like we were close, or we never looked like we were going to win. So yeah, there was an unlucky long range shot, or there was a penalty that we should have got. But like, we all watched the game with their own eyes, and they'd never felt like we were going to win. So all that other shit really doesn't matter to us, because I mean it's all bollocks. And this is what I mean about this game. It's like in this situation, he could have said it. And people were going, yeah, no, he's right. Like, you know, if we had got, 2 goals in the first half, maybe they would have changed their tactics. But he didn't even go there. He went, yeah, we completely fucking collapsed, because people saw that too. So I think in terms of like being a better football manager than Kenny or whatever is debatable at this stage. But like being able to read the room, I think he's a lot better at that,
Yeah, he just seems more savvy with the media, especially I think in international management. It does feel even more ruthless than in the leagues across the world. Like one loss and as international manager's head is on the chopping block because it's the national media talking to you. It's not like just random people who report on a league. It is a team of journalists who only care and talk about this country.
And it's a higher percentage of the games in the year, usually. So song of the week this week, Will, what do you have for us?
I forgot to put in my choice. I was raging.
Yeah. Well, we could do that every second week, maybe once a month. I don't know. Every week would be a lot of music, would it? It's a good a good way to break up the show, I guess,
It is, but if we're doing it every week, then it's become another thing in our lives. We're gonna be like, oh fuck, the song of the week. I forgot about that.
we should do a themed month, that way it'll be easier to remember, so this month can be like, whatever. What was the last one we played? I forget the last one we played.
The last one was fog themed. It was Gorillas in the Mist one.
Yes, Gorillas in the Mist by Da Lynch Mob. And I didn't want to say the Lynch Mob because, like, am I
Ice Cube's crew? Yeah,
I was like, am I making that up? Should I say that? And I was like, and I just kept saying Gorillas in the Mist. And I was like, by a bunch of fellas. Yeah, I guess we could do classic rap this month, Will, if you want. We could pick 2 songs. I mean, I know that the joke is people can text in. Obviously, they can't. So we haven't done the poll on Instagram again. So maybe next week. Maybe we'll do a poll on Instagram for next week.
Yeah.
Maybe do every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Do that.
We'll have a classic rap month.
It's our show. We can do what we want.
Yeah. Until Columbia Records comes and wants their pound of flesh.
Well, that's what I said to you after the last one, is that is what's going to inevitably end the pod. It won't go out in a blaze of glory. It'll go out in a quiet cavalcade of copyright takedowns and emails.
Yeah, well, they'll say, we want reimbursement for the times you played the music. And then we'll go, we don't make any money. And they'll be like, hardly. You've been here for how many years? You make no money? Don't believe that. And then we're like, no, seriously. And then they'll just say, right, well, you can't podcast anymore. We'll lose our podcasting license, awarded to us by the EU back in 2021.
Revoked.
And that's how the show will end. Speaking of how things will end, Will, or how they won't end ever, and will happen forever and ever, is Man City getting away with it. Man City getting away with it, winning leagues with Pep Guardiola at the helm. Breaking news just before we start recording, he has signed a new deal. So all my theories about, he knows and he's worrying, and that's what's happening with the team. He's not going to sign a deal. That's been blown out of the water because he's signed a 1-year extension, just like LeBron, and he's here for another year. We got another year of Man City win the league. As you all know, this will trigger the run. There'll be confidence instilled back into the team. De Bruyne will be back. Haaland is going to score 7 goals in the next 2 games. You can decide how many goals he scores in each game, but it'll be 7 goals in the next 2 games. Liverpool will have an injury to Salah and possibly Van Dijk. And Queven Gallagher will make some enormous gaffe and see the title. And it's going to be a terrible, terrible season again. All because Pep has signed the contract. That's what I think. That's an absolute fear out there. Well, a bit of a big one to put in a sticky note, but that's my kind of prediction of how that season's going to go.
Yeah, unfortunately, this does feel. Honestly, when it popped up, I was just checking the old soccer Reddit before we started, just in case, and I saw this, and the feeling that came over me was like the feeling you get when you like check the news and there's been a terrible incident somewhere. It's just that like pang of, oh God, no, that sounds awful. And you click into it and it just gets, the more you read it, the scarier it gets. Because really what this says is, as the investigation is obviously ongoing and the trial and the charges, that was supposed to be coming to an end around January, I think it was, which means they're probably far enough along now that they know what's going to happen, which means Pep probably knows now what's going to happen. And his response to that was, yeah, I'll sign a new deal. Sounds good. Sounds like we're still on top. I have it here. The Athletic broke the story. Pep Guardiola agrees new Man City contract. Man City manager Pep Guardiola has agreed a new 1-year contract extension with the option of an additional year. The 52-year-old's existing deal was due to expire at the end of the season. And if the new terms are fulfilled, it would take Guardiola to over a decade in charge of the club. It had been suggested that Guardiola may leave City at the end of the campaign alongside their current director of football, whose departure and the arrival of Hugo Viana from Sporting as his replacement was confirmed in October. So it looked like it was finally over. We were finally free, but I don't think so. I think it's only beginning.
Yeah. Look, I think it is. It's like when you see like a black and white photo of a celebrity. You're like, oh fuck, it's like that kind of a shocking. Like when you see Pep grow his face and breaking news, like no, he's signed it again, isn't he? Or it's kind of a flip of the coin. It's like announced he won't be resigning, but that's rarely what happens. Like I'm sure with that last year when Liverpool fans saw the Klopp picture, they're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of sinking feeling. It's like, oh no. What's this about? Click in. No. Yeah, because I think with the money and the investment, all that stuff, like as much as we give out a Pep and his kind of disingenuous ways, he is the brains behind this whole thing. You take away him, it goes back to more competitiveness. Yeah, they can still, they'll be like Man United. They'll never actually be that bad ever again. They'll always be around 8th, and they can buy their way back in at any time. All it takes is a couple of good signings, and they can finish second again. But with Pep there, it's like the dominance. It's that's what brings the dominance, I think, is Pep.
Yeah, he just, I don't know. He's the master of everything. So he set up the whole system that now everyone wants to play. He's got it down to a fine art. Players come in and like he gets criticized. We criticize him over. He turns all these flair-filled, technical, unbelievable players to watch into just robots that fit in the cog. But the system works. It's just unbeatable when you have all the money, whether you've gotten it through the right means or not. You have all the players and you have the best manager. Of course you're going to win everything. That's just, it's as simple as it gets. They're just better in everything. And he's probably the main part. He's probably just the best manager. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, the example is United. Like, when Ferguson left, they were the biggest club in England by a mile. By a fucking mile. And they had so much money. And they had so much fans. And they had the media on side because Ferguson had scared them all into it. But when he left, it all fucking fell apart. And they still have all the money, and they still are probably the biggest club in England and all that stuff. But it's like, someone like that is very, very important. Someone leading it. And like, okay, the money and the robots and all the rest of it, but like, even the way he got rid of Cancelo was very Ferguson-like. Most managers don't do that for maybe not feeling secure enough. Maybe they're not made up like that. Maybe they go, well, that's a bit harsh. That seems a bit unnecessary. He is good. It was a respect thing. It was a power thing. And I think not many managers are going to come in and be that. And I think when Pep leaves and they're established as like, this club that wins stuff, the next guy that comes in won't get the freedom that Pep got. So he won't be able to make the kind of tough decisions. And like the same with Ferguson, it was a while till he got that confidence. He had to win a few leagues and turn into a winning machine as well till you can decide, what, I'm getting rid of Yap Stam. Fuck him. I think he needs to go, or Beckham. I don't like him. I think he thinks he's too big for the club. Like it's you need a lot of confidence to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, the thought of Pep leaving was like, well, maybe this will bring a bit more parity back into the league. Maybe it'll be like Ferguson, but yeah, we have one more year with an option for another year after that to bear until maybe that happens. I think. Yeah,
and it's just the thing, like we mentioned, it was just up until now, it was end of the year, he's done, and it was because it was all working out perfectly, the charges, it was all happening. But this just throws such a spanner in it all, like you said, where, well, now I don't know what to believe anymore. Because if he doesn't know what's going on, that seems insane to sign that deal. He has said before, though, remember he said, if they've lied to me, I'll leave straight away. So I just don't know.
Yeah,
like he's not thick, you know what I mean? So I don't understand why else he would sign that. And I also don't think he's like loyal enough to Man City where I'll stick with you no matter what happens. If we go down 2 divisions, I'll stay. I think he's too big to do that. There's no need for him to do that. And I don't think City fans would judge him for leaving. So I don't know. It just seems very bizarre and doesn't seem very promising.
No, I think if he was going to re-sign without knowing, he would have done so in the summer, because that would have been best for the team. To like, yeah, I'm still in charge. I'm still the boss. You still need to listen to me. To let it run till November and have the season go the way it's going, and then resign. It's like, well, why don't you just in the summer? It's like, no, like it seems quite related to the church, is what I'm saying. So it feels like he's heard something, found something, and going, all right, that's good enough for me. Sounds like we're good. I think it's time to sign. Now, that said, he only signed 1 year. He didn't sign a 3-year contract. He's not like locked himself in. He's like, yeah, this time next year, I think, but maybe after that, maybe the next year, they might get caught. But he's got something, you'd imagine, in terms of reassurance that we're good for 12 months.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe that's all he needs. Maybe it was just the case that he's such a serial winner. It couldn't handle the losing streak they're on. He said, fuck, maybe if I sign this, we'll start winning again. Maybe this will get people back on my side at the club or whatever. But I don't know. Like, for a guy who's so tactical.
That's a good theory.
For a guy who's so tactical and so, like, I was going to say level-headed, but he's not. He's a psycho. But you know what I mean? Like, he's very... he doesn't do anything without thinking, really. So, I don't know. I don't
calculated.
Yeah. I feel like he's been told something or he knows something. But I will say, I did think when Klopp was leaving Liverpool, it's like, oh, excellent. That's that done now. Take them years to get another manager who's successful. And look, Slot's basically turned it around. He's made them even better. Just because a little tweak here and there, and maybe that's all the club needed to go to the next level. And I don't know, maybe City will be like that too, that the system is so good, the machine is so good that maybe it doesn't really matter who's managing. They've already built the squad, and that might be the main part that actually matters.
Yeah, but I feel like the transfers were very much Pep's idea as well. Like we saw a couple of times, Klopp got players he didn't necessarily want and didn't always work. And there was a bit of tension sometimes between him and Michael Edwards. Like I think the City thing worked so well because Pep was in total control, and anything Pep wanted, he got. Like, that's not to say that if Klopp had been in total control, they would have won those leagues. But, the money does matter as well. The getting the likes of Haaland was, that was a huge one. But yeah, like, I mean, I think they won't turn it bad overnight, I don't think. But I mean, there is similarities. I mean, it's an aging team. In terms of like similarity between the Man United team, it's a lot of good players and it's still an aging team. They might have one more in them, but I think if you don't have somebody who has like a 5-year plan in his head, like say this summer now, they lose this year, right? City, they don't get it back, and he forgets the Club World Cups, right? Everyone take a year off. We're resting this summer, and we're going to come back and we're going to win one more. For me, Pep, doesn't reinvest the squad, just focus on the guys he has. They win one more, and then he leaves, and De Bruyne and Rodri and Ruben Diaz all hobble off the pitch together. And then, David Moyes takes over at Man City this time, and he gets left with an aging squad. And he's like, "We need to be more like Arsenal." And they go, "This guy's a fucking clown," Like that's what it would be like, But if Pep is like, "Right, I'm going to, sell on De Bruyne for whatever amount of money to Saudi Arabia and bring in something else, or make Foden the thing," if he's thinking 2 and 3 years ahead, then they'll be fine for the next 3 or 4 years. But if he's only thinking 1-year contracts, that might be it. But yeah, I don't know. It's total conjecture. It's total conjecture. We'll see how it all shakes out. But yeah, the dream of maybe someone Barrett Man City win the league is over. And I'm including this year. They're going to come back. They're going to go on the run. It's over, folks. Just make sure
don't bother watching. You don't need to listen anymore. You know what's going to happen. You've seen it before.
What else was there? I mean, that's kind of it. International break is over. There won't be another one till March, and I think it's friendlies in March. This qualifying campaign is over. So who do we play in March? Fucking Brazil or something, is it?
I don't know. I'll tell you now. Let me look it up.
The Harlem Globetrotters, the Monsters.
It looks like, according to Google, the fixtures are not made yet. There's no fixtures after that England game.
Oh, okay, that's good. We can just be unpleasantly surprised that we're playing Ireland versus the rest of the world 11.
Yeah, no upcoming fixtures, it says on the FAI website. But now, I will say, this is the FAI website. Maybe they just don't have a guy who updates that page.
That could also be the case. We should just scour every other team's website to see who they're playing. Maybe if we're in the list. Yeah, maybe we're playing the 2002 Nike ad, the secret tournament. All those players are coming together in their prime to play against us and just like showboat us off the pitch. So yeah, I'm joking about who we'll play in March. I'm just joking. But it can't get worse. Think of it that way. Like, what are the odds we have another record defeat the next day? I doubt it. Very much. So that's to look forward to. We have the Premier League back the weekend.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any more international football coming up this week. I think it's mainly done. But yeah, so until next week, I think, folks, we will see you then. Until next week, that's all. That's all till next week. That's all the news we have. And yeah, it's been a weird one. It's been a strange kind of strange kind of combination of emotions. This international break. But in a strange way, I feel like we are making a little bit of progress.
I think so.
And yeah, I think so too.
How about we look back on the both greatest and worst international break I think we've ever had with a little song playing over it. How about we listen back to the moments of the international break with Gorillas in the Mist on top of it.
Again, for the second week in a row. Lynch Mob, play us out.
Come down and beware of the black fist. The gorilla straight motherfucking killers in the mist. Take a shot, but you can't hold horse. Never thought you'd see some niggas in the